Hello everyone, this is Ryan with E5 Sigma. A few months back, we started our UniFi Talk instructional videos by creating a couple of quick tutorials showing you how to use Ubiquiti's UniFi Talk with a third-party SIP provider in two different ways, via IP-based authentication and via standard SIP registration. Since making those original videos, we've also made some additional tutorials showing you how to use UniFi Talk with various other providers. Today, we'll be continuing our video tutorial series by showing you how to create a separate and segregated VLAN network to use to separate your UniFi Talk devices from the rest of the devices on your LAN. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone to like and subscribe to this channel. We plan on furthering our UniFi Talk instructional videos, and we also plan to add other DIY content pertaining to some things like unboxings, cell phone repair, game console repair, and even some microsoldering. So be sure to like and subscribe. A VLAN is a virtual local area network that can be set up and used for various reasons. The most common reasons have to do with organization and security. In the same way that your primary LAN network is separate and private from someone else's LAN network and isolated from public networks, VLANs are traditionally used with the same concept in mind. Subdivide your local network access into logical groups that are separate from each other. In theory, when it comes to UniFi products, you could create separate VLANs for each category of devices, such as a VLAN for UniFi Protect devices, a VLAN for UniFi Access devices, and a VLAN for UniFi Talk devices. Doing so creates separate logical private networks and private IP space for each of these types of devices individually. This helps keep your network organized and also enhances security by preventing UniFi Talk devices from communicating with UniFi Protect devices, for example. In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to create a new VLAN, set up the firewall rules that will prevent devices on the new VLAN from accessing devices on your LAN, and vice versa. Find your UniFi Talk devices and assign them to the new VLAN. And finally, test to ensure that UniFi Talk devices have been moved to the new VLAN and cannot communicate with devices on your primary LAN. Okay, let's get to it. We're going to start with setting up a new VLAN. To get started, you want to log into your UniFi device. We use a Dream Machine Pro, a UDM Pro here in our office. And you'll want to go to Network, and then to Settings, and then to Networks. From here, we want to create a new network. And for the name, we're going to call it UniFi Talk Devices. We are not going to select a VLAN only network. We actually want to dedicate some IP space to this new VLAN. So we're going to leave that unchecked. And we're fine with leaving auto scale network selected. We're also okay with the new network that this UDM Pro is going to create by default. If you wanted to specify a dedicated VLAN ID, you could change advanced configuration to manual and specify the VLAN ID here. Again, we're just doing this for demonstration purposes, so we're going to leave this on auto. And we can scroll all the way down here and click on Add Network. Now that we have this new network defined here, we want to kind of set everything up so that this network will not be allowed to communicate with devices on our LAN. So we need to create a couple of firewall rules in order to do that. We want to go to Firewall and Security and choose these the LAN section under Firewall Rules. We're going to click Create New Rule. For type, we're going to select LAN in, and for description, we're going to call this block LAN to VLAN. We want to set our action here to drop, and our source type will be network. And the source network, we're just going to leave as default. If you had multiple LANs specified in your device here, you could choose which one you want. We only have one LAN, so we're going to choose default as the network here. And then for destination, destination type will also be network. And we're going to choose the new network that we created, the new VLAN that we created for our UniFi Talk devices here. and we'll click Apply Changes. Now we want to create a reflexive rule that blocks devices on the VLAN from communicating with devices on the LAN. So we'll click on Create New Rule. The type will be LAN in again. And now we'll call this rule Block VLAN to LAN. Again, we're going to set our action to drop. The source type will be network. And here we're going to choose our UniFi Talk devices network. The destination type will again be network, and we're just going to keep this at our default network here. And then we'll click Apply Changes. That's everything that we need to do to actually set up the VLAN and set up our firewall rules to keep everything on that VLAN separate from our primary network here. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to assign the UniFi Talk devices that we've got to this new network, this new VLAN. So we're going to click on topology over here, and we'll zoom in and we can see the UniFi Talk device that we want to configure here. So we'll click on it, and what we're looking for is this value here under port. Our device is port 6. So we're going to go to the switch that it's connected to. In our case here, this is a 16-port power over Ethernet UniFi switch. So we'll click here, and then we'll go to Settings, and we will find port 6 in the list, and you can see this the UTP Touch device is listed there. So we'll click on this port, and what we care about changing is port profile. Right now this is set to LAN. We're going to change this. We're going to scroll down under Networks and select UniFi Talk devices. And then we'll hit Apply Changes. Now, this is going to take a couple of seconds for these changes to actually propagate throughout the Dream Machine, and then for the UTP Touch to actually reconfigure itself as well. When you hit Apply Changes, the switch basically turns off this port, applies the changes, turns the port back on, and it just takes a few seconds for everything to change. So if we go here to UniFi devices, we can find our UTP Touch all the way at the bottom here. And if we look at IP address, it's still part of our primary LAN. Now, when we created this network, which we can find here under Networks, this is supposed to be the UniFi Talk devices network is now supposed to be on 192.168.2.0/24. Our primary LAN is 10.66.77.0/24. So what we really are looking for here is we want to see this device switch over to that new network. Now we might need to actually physically restart this UTP Touch in order to get that to happen. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then I'll come back after the device is restarted. Okay, so we're back here, and all I've done is physically restart the UTP Touch device that we assigned to this new VLAN. And if we look here now, we can see this new IP address that's been assigned to it. I'm not really sure why this always shows status as offline, but it shows this even before we have changed this over to the new VLAN. So not really sure why it appears this way, but the IP address that it shows here is correct. And if you click on the device and go to Insights, all of this traffic is correct and all of that stuff. So I tend not to pay attention to the fact that this shows as offline, but the IP address that it shows here is important. And we can verify this if we go to the UTP Touch and check the IP address that's assigned to it. That is the correct address. So the last thing that we want to do here is just test and make sure that we cannot access that device from our primary network. And the machine that I'm using is on the LAN. So we'll just ping the address of our UTP Touch device, and we see that we do not get a response. Now, if we had not created those firewall rules and just assigned this device to the new VLAN, we would be getting a response from this ping, which means that devices on the local area network would be able to communicate with devices on the VLAN. Creating those firewall rules have created a segregation between both of those networks. which for security purposes is exactly what we want to see. That's pretty much it. That's how you would set up a VLAN inside of your UniFi device, like a Dream Machine Pro. You would assign UniFi Talk devices to it and test to make sure that your changes are correct. We hope this video has been instructional and helpful for UniFi Talk and general UniFi users and enthusiasts. If you'd like to see us set up UniFi Talk with your specific VoIP carrier, or if you'd like us to prepare a completely different type of tutorial, please feel free to leave a comment below. You can also email us at info@e5sigma.com or even contact us on Facebook. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.